Hey there, soccer friends. It's Tomek from Soccer Bedtime Stories. I'm so glad you're here. Before we kick off tonight's adventure, I want to let you in on something super special. This podcast exists because of listeners like you. No big studios, no big money ads, just pure, thoughtful stories that spark imagination, build connection, and help kids and adults drift off dreaming of the beautiful game. If these stories have become a part of your routine, if they make bedtime smoother, inspire your little one or your adult one, or bring a smile to your face, now's the time to join the team. By becoming a member, for just the price of a coffee each month, you're not just supporting the show, you're making sure it keeps growing, stays ad-free, and reaches families around the world who need it most. And here's the kicker. This August, we're releasing our very first novel, based on one of our most beloved episodes, and every paid subscriber will get a free copy on launch day. Don't miss this. Be part of something meaningful. Visit soccerbedtimestories.com or click the link in the description to join today. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope this story becomes a new favorite. You can always reach us on Instagram at mysoccerbedtime or through our website. Now get cozy, sleep well, dream big, and we'll see you on the pitch, soccer friend. Hello there, soccer friend. As the stars peek out one by one, the world begins to quiet down. It might be just the perfect time for a story. Not a story about kings or castles, but about a barn, a ball, and a soccer dream that just wouldn't quit. Tonight, we journey far from the noise and crowds of stadiums. Instead, picture a small farmhouse, nestled among fields and forests, where the air smells of soil and hay, and the nights are filled with the sounds of crickets and the soft breath of animals sleeping in the dark. In this quiet place, there was a girl. Not a famous girl, not yet. She helped feed the cows before breakfast, carried buckets taller than she was, and learned early how to work hard, rain or shine. But whenever she could, between chores, after dinner, even in the fading light, she'd run outside with a ball. Sometimes her brothers joined her. Sometimes the neighborhood boys did. Always her sister. But often it was just her and the wall on the side of the barn. She passed, she received, she passed again. Over and over, 1,000 touches a day. No cheering crowd, no coach with a whistle, just the rhythm of the ball and the rhythm of her heart. People said she was too small, too young, just a farm kid. But what they didn't see was the fire inside her. They didn't know that every kick, every sprint, every straight knee was part of something bigger. Because this girl wasn't just playing, she was preparing. And soon, the whole world would know her name. Origins, Ewa Pajor. Ewa Pajor was born in a small Polish town, Uniejów, a place so quiet and compact you could walk from one end to the other before the morning tea or coffee had cooled. There were no grand buildings or noisy streets, just rolling fields, bubbling springs, and the smell of fresh bread drifting from windows. Her home wasn't filled with riches, but it overflowed with something far more valuable. Love, laughter, hard work, and sky that seemed to go on forever. She was one of 5 children, all quick with their feet and quicker with their jokes. But even among them, Ewa stood out. If she wasn't helping to milk cows, carry feed, or collect eggs, she was outside with a ball at her feet, darting, dribbling, turning like a leaf in the wind. Her brothers joined in, of course, and so did her sister Paulina, but it didn't take long before they were groaning with frustration. Ewa didn't just keep up with them, she beat them again and again. With that twinkle in her eye and a fierce little grin, she'd race past defenders twice her size, striking the ball with confidence of her hero, Cristiano Ronaldo. In the imaginary stadiums of her backyard, she was always the star, scoring hat-tricks beneath the open sky. And when the others went inside for dinner or to warm their hands by the fire, Ewa stayed. Beside the house stood an old barn, colors faded by time, and on one side of it a plain wooden wall. To anyone else it might have looked like nothing at all, but to Ewa it was magic. It was a teammate, a coach, a mirror, a promise. She'd pass the ball to it and it would pass it right back. Left foot trap, right foot trap, short pass, long pass, shoot! Again and again and again. The thud of the ball echoed like a heartbeat across the yard. Sometimes a curious cow would wander over to watch. Sometimes snowflakes would stick to her eyelashes as she kicked. Sometimes the wind would howl, but she never stopped. Rain couldn't stop her. Sunburn couldn't stop her. Even the dark of night only meant it was time to train by moonlight. Each bounce off the barn wall made her stronger, sharper. Each scrape on her knee, each bruised toe, each breathless moment of joy after a perfect strike. It all became part of the dream growing inside her. A dream no one could see yet, but one she could feel in every step. First, Ewa's world was no bigger than the farm, the schoolyard, and the worn grass fields where she played after chores. She had never traveled far. She had never trained with girls her age, mostly because there weren't any. In her village, if you wanted to play football, you played with the boys. That was that. So she did. With sleeves pushed up and shoelaces double knotted, Ewa joined the local team. Orlenta Bielenin, the only girl, the smallest player, but also the one you passed the ball to when you wanted a goal. There were no girls' leagues nearby, no shiny uniforms, no scouts in the stands. Just weekend games on lumpy fields, with proud parents clapping from the sidelines. And somewhere in that crowd, watching closely, was her elementary school PE teacher. He saw what others had missed, the sharpness in her step, the hunger in her play, how she didn't flinch from tackles or hang her head from a miss. He saw the girl who trained with a barn wall and didn't back down from anyone. But there was one problem. Ewa's parents couldn't always drive her to matches or tournaments. The farm needed tending, animals needed care, life didn't pause just because someone had a gift. So the teacher made a choice. "I'll take her," he said, "wherever she needs to go." And just like that, Ewa's world grew a little bit. Together, they traveled to nearby towns, to dusty fields in Konin, to tournaments with girls from other places, some with proper jerseys and coaches who barked instructions from the bench. It was all new to her, strange, exciting. But every time the whistle blew, Ewa reminded them why she was there. She danced through the fences like wind through tall grass. She sprinted, spun, and struck the ball with a confidence that made jaws drop. It didn't matter where she was. She played like it was her backyard, like the barn wall was still watching. And somewhere on the sideline, her teacher smiled. He had seen it first, the fire, the talent, the spark, and he believed in enough to open a door. One small act of faith, one big change. Behind that open door, a new chapter was waiting. The drive wasn't long, just about an hour from home, but for a young girl who'd barely traveled beyond her village, it felt like a journey to another world. That's how far it was from her family's farm to the town of Konin. That's how far it was from the smell of hay and warm bread to the smell of laundry detergent and unfamiliar pillows. They cried their entire drive there, their mom asking them if they should go back, and with tears in their eyes, they said, "No, keep going, Mom." Eva and her older sister Paulina moved into a dormitory together to join the youth system of Medyk Konin, one of the best women's football clubs in the country. For most kids, it would have been a dream. But at first, for Eva, it felt like a nightmare. The rooms were quiet, the routines were strict. There were no cows outside her window, no barking dog to greet her in the morning, just long hallways, plain white walls, and a bed that didn't feel quite right. Homesickness hit her hard. There were nights she pulled the blanket up to her chin and blinked back tears, listening for the sounds of home that weren't there. The wind didn't sound the same in Konin. The food didn't taste the same. The air felt heavy with distance. But she didn't cry for long, because her parents had raised her to be tough, to show up, to try again even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And so every morning she laced up her cleats and walked out to train. This wasn't a backyard practice anymore. The girls were older, stronger, the drills were harder, the expectations were higher. Coaches shouted, timers ticked. There were warm-ups, cool-downs, and playbooks with scribbled diagrams. And still, Eva shined. She ran faster, listened much more closely, kicked harder. She may have missed home, but she was starting to find something new here, too. Something just as real. A second family, a second home, and a belief that she could belong in this world of professional footballers. And it was here on a crisp morning at Medyk's training ground that a young coach named Nina Patalon first noticed the small girl with the oversized spark. She watched her move, watched her dribble through cones like they weren't even there. Nina's heart skipped a beat. She's different, she thought. We have to keep her close. But Ewa Pajor wouldn't stay close. She was about to fly. From the moment she joined Medyk Konin, people began whispering about her. That little one, she's fast. She's got Ronaldo's hunger. She's going to be something. But Eva didn't care much about whispers. She cared about touches, about getting better. She stayed after practice to do extra drills. She'd sneak in shooting sessions during breaks. While others rested, she trained. While others hesitated, she attacked. And just 15 years old, barely taller than the corner flags, she stepped onto the field for Medyk's senior team. Her boots felt too new, her heart thumped like a drum, and the crowd was bigger than anything she'd known before. Some wondered if she was ready. But then the whistle blew. 2 goals on her debut. At 15 years and 133 days old, she became the youngest player to ever appear in Poland's top division, and certainly the youngest to score. She made it look easy. And after that, the goals kept coming like apples off a family tree back home. Smooth, steady, one after another. She scored 64 times in just 60 league games. Defenders couldn't catch her. Keepers couldn't stop her. Commentators ran out of words. She was everywhere, blazing down the wing, dancing past defenders, celebrating with both arms in the air, and that fearless sparkle in her eyes. It didn't take too long before people outside of Poland noticed. Scouts scribbled notes, European clubs made quiet calls, and then one of the biggest names in women's football came knocking. VfL Wolfsburg, German champions, Champions League contenders, a club built for greatness. When Eva said yes, it meant leaving her country, her teammates, her comfort zone. It meant stepping into a league filled with giants. She packed her bags, said goodbye to the familiar, and leapt into the unknown. She was 18. She was thin, nervous, and carrying the weight of expectation. But deep down, she still had the same spark, the same fire that once echoed off the barn wall. It was about to be tested in every way imaginable. Germany was different. The language sounded like a song she didn't know the words to. The pace of the league was faster, the tackles harder, the players taller and stronger. At times, it felt like the entire world was racing past her. At Wolfsburg, every training session was a test. Every match was a mountain. And Ewa Pajor, still so young, so far from home, had to find her footing all over again. She was, in her own words, very thin with no muscles. She had speed and skills, yes, but here that wasn't enough. She had to grow tougher, sharper, smarter. And then came the blur. Not the blur of the game, not the blur of defenders rushing past. A blur inside her eyes. At just 20 years old, Eva was diagnosed with a rare disease that warped her vision, bending the world in strange, shifting ways. The ball would move, the light would split. Her eyes couldn't focus, even when she could. For a while, everything she had worked for hung in a balance. Doctors spoke of surgeries, of special lenses, of what she might lose. But Eva, who had once trained through snow, who had cried silent tears in a lonely dorm room, who had carried water buckets before school, did not give up. 2 surgeries, adaptive lenses, and a promise to herself, I will not stop here. But she didn't. The season after her recovery, she exploded back onto the field. 24 goals in 19 games, a league title for Wolfsburg, then another and another. She followed it up with 17 goals in 16 matches the very next year. Her game was electric, speed like a comet, strikes like thunder, and the kind of control that made defenders dizzy. But she didn't just belong to Wolfsburg. Back in Poland, something was happening. Little girls were staying after school to juggle balls on the playground. Coaches were asking, have you heard of Pajor? Her name was growing, her legend too. And on the national team, she was leading the way. From her debut as a teenager, where she earned a penalty and scored in just 9 minutes to become the top scorer in the history of Poland women's team, her presence became a light for her country. She had become more than a player. She had become a symbol. A symbol of fight, of homegrown hope, of what was possible even from a little farm outside of the little town. They started calling her the Queen of Polish football. And no one deserved the crown more. By now, her name echoed through stadiums across Europe. Commentators called her a goal machine. Defenders called her a nightmare. And fans, well, they just saw magic on the field. At Wolfsburg, she'd become one of the fiercest forwards in the world. Fast as a flash, fearless in front of goal, and always where the danger lived. But in 2022-23, something changed. because Ewa entered the season like a storm rolling from the mountains. She wasn't just scoring, she was dominating. Week after week, she tore through defenses. A goal here, 2 goals there, left foot, right foot, headers, volleys, every kind of finish, every kind of moment. In the Women's Champions League, where the best of the best came to shine, she scored 9 goals. Not just tap-ins, not just lucky ones. These were thunderbolts, back post darts, clever turns, and crowded boxes. Her goals carried her to Wolfsburg to the final once again, this time in Eindhoven, against the mighty Barcelona, where she did what she always did, delivered. In just the 3rd minute, she broke through and scored the opening goal, fast, clinical, stunning. Then she helped set up another. Wolfsburg led 2-0. But a football and a soccer has a way of twisting our stories, because Barcelona came back. 3 goals. A giant heartbreak. Wolfsburg lost 3-2. Ewa stood on the pitch, her jersey soaked with sweat, her heart heavy with what might have been 4 finals, a row trophy. Yet, still, something had shifted. The world wasn't watching her in disappointment. They were watching in awe. And then came the call, not just any call. There was Barcelona. They hadn't forgotten the goals or the way she led or the 136 goals she had scored in only 196 matches for Wolfsburg, the kind of numbers that made even the brightest stars turn their heads. Barcelona offered a record fee, over 400,000 euros, to bring her to Spain. Ewa packed her bags once again, left behind the dark green forests of Germany for the sea-swept breeze of Catalonia. She stepped into a new stadium in front of new fans under a new sun, but the same fire burnt in her chest. She wasn't there to play second fiddle. She was there to lead, to win, to add new goals to her name, and to prepare for the summer where she would wear her national colors again. Because even while wearing the blue and garnet Barcelona, her heart beat for Poland. Even as she settled into a new life in Barcelona with the golden sun, fast football, and fans chanting in a different language, part of Ewa's heart was always somewhere else. Because while club trophies and Champions League nights were magical, nothing meant more than the white and red shirt of her country. Whenever she wore it, something inside of her stood taller. Not for glory, not for headlines, but for home. Long before Barcelona, long before Wolfsburg, even before the dorm room and medic Koning, Ewa Pajor was just a teenager standing in a circle with her teammates, listening to the Polish national anthem play for the very first time. She was only 16, the ball looked big beneath her boots, but she carried herself like she'd been preparing for this forever. It was the summer of 2013, and Poland's under 17 girls team had made it to the European Championship. Few people expected them to win. Poland didn't have a long history in women's football. They weren't favorites. Some said they were lucky just to be there. But Ewa didn't believe in luck. She believed in hard work. She believed in running until your legs gave out. She believed in scoring goals and then scoring more. At the tournament, she was everywhere. Sprinting, tackling, dribbling, leading. Her boots left trails of fire across the field, and when the final whistle blew, the championship match, Poland had done the unthinkable. They were champions of Europe. And Ewa Pajor, UEFA named her the best under-17 player of the entire continent, a golden player with a golden future. The same year, she was called up to the senior national team. She didn't start the match. She came on late in the 75th minute. Some players might needed time to settle in, but not Ewa. Within 1 minute, she won a penalty. 8 minutes later, She scored, just like that. The years that followed brought more tournaments, more goals, and more reasons to believe. She won the Istria Cup with Poland in 2015. Then in 2022, after a stunning hat-trick against Kosovo, she became the top scorer in the history of the Polish national team, passing legends and setting new records. But records weren't enough, not for her. Ewa wanted more than numbers. She wanted a nation to believe in its daughters. To build stadiums for girls, to fill those stadiums with dreams. So then, on a cold December night in Vienna, she scored the most important goal of her life, a 94th minute strike that sent Poland to its first ever major tournament in women's football, the European Championship, UEFA Euro 2025, the big stage. And when the tournament began that summer, there she stood, captain, leader, number 9. The same girl who once kicked the ball against a barn wall, now walking at the front of the line, carrying a country on her shoulders. When Poland faced Denmark in their opening match, few outside the country gave them a chance. But Ewa had seen this story before. People saying you're too small, too new, not ready. She had heard it all. So she answered the only way she knew how, with a goal. She scored her first ever goal at a major tournament that night, guiding Poland to a thrilling 3-2 win over Denmark. It was more than just 3 points, it was a message. Poland had arrived, and its captain was a farmer's daughter who had dreamed this dream since she was a little girl, kicking ball barefoot in the yard. When the final whistle blew against Denmark, the crowd erupted. Poland had done it, won their first ever match at a major tournament. Ewa Pajor stood in the middle of it all, smiling, arms out wide, her teammates wrapping her in joy. But even in that moment, after years of training, after surgeries, after goals that shook stadiums, her thoughts drifted to something quieter. A barn ball, a muddy yard, a little girl with the ball at her feet, and a dream that didn't know how to quit. Because even now, after the Champions League goal and captain's armband, she hasn't forgotten where it all began. Not the medals, not the record books, not the flashing cameras. Just the rhythm of the ball bouncing back. Just the feeling of never giving up. She remembers the long drives to Coney with her teacher at the wheel. The taste of homesickness in that dorm room. The first time she stepped onto the field wearing her country's crest. And she remembers how many times people said she was too small, too young, too far from the spotlight to matter. But she mattered. And now she leads. She leads with her feet, she leads with her voice, she leads with the way she keeps believing, even when the odds seem stacked like a mountain. Because Ewa Pajor didn't just kick a ball. She kicked open the door for 1,000 more. And tonight, somewhere in Poland, or in Germany, or in Spain, or even much farther away, a young dreamer is lacing up their shoes, or bouncing a ball in the hallway, or tracing the name Pajor onto a notebook page. They believe because she did. So now, as you pull your blanket a little tighter and let your body rest, remember those lessons from Ewa. That dreams don't have to start big, just have to start. And once they do, never let them go. Sleep well and dream big, soccer friends.
Thank you for joining us on this enchanting journey through the world of Soccer Bedtime Stories. As we reach the end of this episode, I want to express my gratitude for your presence and support. Your engagement means the world to us, and we invite you to become an integral part of our vibrant community. Make sure to subscribe and follow. This will not only keep the magic alive, but also help shape the stories we bring to you. We're eager to hear your feedback, suggestions, and the topics that ignite your passion. Feel free to reach out to us at soccerbedtimestories@gmail.com. Together we'll create a community that celebrates the magic of the beautiful game. Now, sleep well and dream big, soccer friends.